You know what's actually terrifying? It's not the toxic person themselves. It's the fact that they almost never look toxic at first. They don't walk into your life announcing who they are. They don't show up loud, cruel, or obvious. They arrive quietly, friendly, helpful, sometimes even charming. And later, when you're finally hurting, you think it all started suddenly. Like one day, they just flipped a switch and became someone else. But the truth is harder to accept. The signs were always there. They were just small enough for you to ignore. Tiny moments, quick reactions, little comments you brushed off because you didn't want to be dramatic. And while you were being understanding, while you were giving the benefit of the doubt, while you were telling yourself they probably didn't mean it like that, they were slowly teaching you how little you mattered. That's why learning to spot toxic people early is one of the most important skills you'll ever develop. Not to judge, not to attack, but to protect yourself before damage is done. Because once someone gets close enough to drain you, leaving becomes 10 times harder. So let's talk about the patterns. Not the obvious ones everyone knows. The subtle ones people miss. The first sign almost always shows up in conversation. You're sharing something personal. A story that actually matters to you. Maybe you're excited, maybe you're nervous, maybe you're vulnerable, and before you even finish your sentence, they interrupt. Not once, not accidentally, every time. Your story becomes their story. Your experience becomes their experience. Your emotions become a cue for them to perform. At first, it seems harmless. You think they're just relating, trying to connect. But notice something important. Do they ever come back to you? Do they ever ask how you felt? Do they ever let your moment be yours? Toxic people don't listen to understand. They listen for an opening to talk. Your life isn't interesting to them unless it can be used as fuel for attention. And here's the test most people never do. Say something meaningful, and then stop. Don't fill the silence. Don't guide them. If they care, they'll lean in. They'll ask a question. They'll want more. If they don't, they'll redirect the spotlight back to themselves within seconds. That's not connection. That's consumption. The second sign appears when conflict shows up, and conflict always shows up eventually. They say something hurtful. They cross a line. They break a promise. You finally speak up, calmly, respectfully, and watch closely what happens next. Healthy people pause. They reflect. They take responsibility. Toxic people panic. Not because they hurt you, but because they're being held accountable. So they twist the situation. They downplay it. They joke, they flip it. Suddenly you're too sensitive, too emotional, too serious. Somehow you're apologizing for bringing it up at all. That's not an accident. That's a strategy. Anyone who can't say, "I'm sorry" for small things will never take responsibility for big ones. And if you stay, you'll slowly become the designated problem, the one who always overreacts, the one who always needs to calm down, even when they're the one causing the harm. The third sign shows up in how they talk about other people. Listen carefully, not just to what they say, but how often they say it. Do most conversations revolve around drama, complaints, who did what wrong? Toxic people bond through negativity. It makes them feel powerful, included, superior, and they'll pull you into it. They'll make it feel like trust, like intimacy. But understand this clearly. If they talk badly about everyone else, you are not the exception. You are simply not the topic yet. The moment you disappoint them, set a boundary, or stop feeding the drama, your name will enter the rotation. The fourth sign is more emotional and more dangerous. They're always the victim. Life is always unfair to them. People always misunderstand them. Someone is always out to get them. At first, you feel compassion. You want to help. You want to be different. But over time, you notice a pattern. No matter where they go, chaos follows. No matter who they meet, conflict appears, and they never seem to learn. Never reflect, never change. Because in their story, they're never the problem. And here's what that means for you. One day, you will disappoint them. It might be small. You'll say no, you'll be busy, you'll choose yourself, and suddenly you'll become the villain. They'll rewrite the story, erase everything you did for them, and tell the world how you hurt them. That's the risk of loving someone who survives by blaming everyone else. The final sign is the most important, because it's the earliest warning and the loudest truth. They test your boundaries, not all at once, not obviously, gradually, a small favor, a slightly rude joke, a last-minute change. They're watching, not consciously maybe, but instinctively. They're asking one question: how much can I take before they push back? If you don't respond, they escalate. If you laugh it off, they learn. If you stay silent, they advance. And before you realize it, your needs disappear. Your time is expected. Your energy is assumed. Here's the rule that saves years of pain. The first boundary test matters more than the 100th. Respond early, calmly, firmly. People who respect you will adjust immediately. People who don't will reveal themselves just as quickly. That moment is not uncomfortable. It's informative, and information is protection. Now take a moment. Think about your life right now. There's probably someone who came to mind while listening. Someone who leaves you feeling drained, confused, smaller than before. That's not coincidence. Distance doesn't mean drama. It means discernment. You don't have to confront everyone. You don't have to explain yourself. You just have to stop giving access to people who misuse it. Your peace is not something you earn. It's something you protect. And once you start doing that, toxic people don't disappear by magic. They leave because there's nothing left to take. That's when your life starts to feel lighter, clearer, safer. And that's when you finally understand. Seeing the signs early isn't about fear, it's about self-respect. And here's the part most people never talk about after you finally see it. After the fog lifts, after the patterns become obvious, you can't unsee them. You start noticing things you once ignored. The way certain people drain the room when they enter it. The way your body tenses before your mind catches up. The way your energy drops after conversations that used to feel normal. That awareness can feel overwhelming at first, almost isolating. Because once you see clearly, you realize how often you were surviving instead of living. You weren't dramatic. You weren't imagining things. You weren't too sensitive. Your nervous system was responding to real signals. You just weren't taught to trust it. From that point on, something shifts inside you. You stop giving unlimited access. You stop explaining your boundaries like they're mistakes. You stop negotiating your comfort to keep other people comfortable. And here's what surprises most people. Toxic individuals don't argue when they lose power. They leave, they fade, they get bored. They search for someone else who hasn't learned these lessons yet. And yes, there's grief in that. Even when someone was hurting you, losing them can still hurt. Not because they were good for you, but because you invested. You invested time, hope, energy. Let yourself feel that. Grief doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It means you cared. But something else grows in that empty space. Clarity. You start recognizing what healthy actually feels like. Not intense, not chaotic, not unpredictable. Healthy feels steady, safe, quiet in the best way. There's no guessing games, no emotional whiplash, no fear of saying the wrong thing. And the more you choose peace, the more your standards rise naturally. You no longer chase closure. You don't need final conversations. You don't rehearse explanations in your head at night. Because you understand something powerful now. People who want to understand you will. People who don't will use confusion as a weapon. You stop trying to be understood by those who benefit from misunderstanding you. Your reactions change too. When someone interrupts you now, you pause. When someone deflects accountability, you notice. When someone gossips, you disengage. Not with anger, with awareness. And that awareness is what protects you. You also begin to realize that boundaries aren't walls. They're filters. They don't keep good people out. They keep unsafe behavior from staying. The right people don't feel threatened by your limits. They feel relieved by them. They know where they stand. They know what's expected. They know respect is mutual. And here's the quiet confidence that comes with all of this. You stop needing to convince anyone of your worth. You stop proving, stop performing, stop overgiving. Because you finally understand that your value was never negotiable. The goal was never to spot toxic people so you could avoid everyone. The goal was to spot them so you could choose better. Better conversations, better friendships, better relationships, and most importantly, a better relationship with yourself. Because the moment you stop ignoring red flags is the moment you start honoring yourself. And once you do that, your life doesn't become perfect. It becomes peaceful, and that peace is something you'll never give up again.